Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome to the stage now Oles Stepaniak. He is from Ukraine's, he's the head of the school nutrition reform team in Ukraine. And Oles, you're going to talk about the role of nutrition with children and why you think it's so important. The floor is yours.
Yep. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here and present the school nutrition reform in Ukraine. Буду продовжувати українською мовою.
I will continue in English, in Ukrainian, sorry. So the reform of Ukrainian school nutrition, indeed, it is a huge and complex work that we are undertaking now. And it's a very fascinating kind of work, because in my estimation, there's nothing more precious than the investments in our future. That is our children. And in 2020, after First Lady Olena Zelenska initiated this, a huge team of people got united to do this. And in fact, that was a fascinating work to do, because the reform of the school nutrition is about 1.5 thousand communities, about more than 20,000 of educational institutions, and about 5 million kids. And the biggest achievement we've got now is that we managed to unite this society, the civil society organization, the thought leaders, politicians, parents, have all been united working on this important matter. So, the school nutrition reform lived through the COVID years, and it's going through the war years now. If we are talking about the war, we can say that in 2020, the two things that happened. First, in 22, children stopped learning. They moved down to shelters. They couldn't study more, they couldn't visit schools, but the schools didn't stop feeding them. And at that point, they became humanitarian hubs, providing quality food to everybody who needed it. IDPs, the people who could not live and eat in their habitual places of residence. So therefore, we understood that these changes, this process should be continued. And that's important. When Russia was eliminating the Ukrainian infrastructure, schools and kindergartens, we started the reforms. And it allowed us to develop a national strategy for school nutrition. And that was united by 4 strategic objectives. First, the capabilities of local organizations to implement the reform, then school canteens, and third is labor potential. I mean, people who cook, who work there on a daily basis, and communication, of course, communication of healthy nutrition and the promotion. These strategic objectives allowed us to move very successfully forward. And I'd like to tell you now about our main achievements that we have over the last 3 years. First, Ukraine joined the global coalition of the Organization of the United Nations regarding the school nutrition that counts 90 countries among its members. Ukraine has a lot to share with this organization, and one of the next forums of this coalition for school nutrition will be held in Ukraine. In addition to that, a huge network, educational network that Ukraine inherited from the Soviet Union years, we faced a huge challenge, and that is the delivery of food to each child. Small schools where they do not have kitchens large enough to feed the kids who study there, or food suppliers did not want to go there. So we developed strategic models, 3D technology models, but these are not just models, but they're standards and documents that allow each community in Ukraine to use it as a tool, to implement it as a project. We developed a professional standard for a cook at a school. That's a regulatory document that allows us to train super professional cooks at our vocational schools who would work at kitchens, at school kitchens, and it's a fascinating thing because we improve and enhance the qualification of those cooks who already work now at Ukrainian schools. It's a complex and great thing. We've got thousands and thousands of such school kitchens. WFP Corporation program was developed by us. It's our partner who develops programs with us for junior schools as well as special privileged categories. We have 102,000 children who are being fed now owing to the WFP funding. This year, the Ukrainian government allocated more than 1.5 billion hryvnias for the modernization of school kitchens and 1.5 billion hryvnias for vocational schools, who would in turn be future culinary hubs that I was talking about today. The documentation and educational curriculum, and that includes this and the investments as well. In addition to that, speaking about the hubs, we have 8 existing culinary hubs in 5 oblasts and 11 that are going to be created using government money. 3 culinary hubs are being co-financed with the Swiss government. Thank you very much for that. A very important thing is that the reform is a very decentralized thing. Each community can choose and elect what model they would use and what path they would follow. This year, we worked with 19 regional forums that gathered leaders of educational system there, and they provide them with information and content to be sure that people on site, on location, could know how to implement it. We're talking about 2,800 participants who got this knowledge. So these are the achievements that we can talk about, we can share them, we can be proud of them. But also there are challenges in the reform. Let me repeat again, re-emphasize, we have more than 20,000 educational institutions. We've got more than 5 million children who study there. And if you divide this by our needs, we have a lot of our needs. The key ones are, out of 5 million, 1.5 million children are those who are extremely in need and organized nutrition. 1.5 children in the junior school and in the special categories. If we calculate how much we need for the local communities, we're talking about $400 million for people in those communities, such children. We saw self-government representatives today who face a huge number of problems. So the project that like WFP helps us a lot, but that's the first step, and we've got to move in this direction. The Ministry of Education developed a special mechanism that allows donors and partners to participate in this project and join this project. The modernization of infrastructure through technological model, basic kitchen as a factory kitchen, and a hub kitchen. So here on this slide, you could see how many of these projects have been implemented, as well as the projects that are being implemented this year. We see there's a huge number, huge amount of the investment, but it's only a part of the problem. We need to fund up to the end of 27 within the national strategy for the amount of $502 million for the modernization of 25% of the Ukrainian network. We have culinary hub projects. These are vocational skills. It's owing to the Ukrainian government and the efforts of our international partners that we have implemented quite a lot. We have 24 projects that are already being implemented or being prepared to be implemented. It's only part of what is awaiting us. We see today we see how easy it is to work in the kitchen today, the kitchen that is a product of our reform. And it's important for us to make sure that the majority of kitchens become as efficient as that. So we have a project of buying a number of convection furnaces for our kitchens so they could minimize the workload for people while they cook, as well as would enable them to cook safe food and with as little fat as possible. So we're calling it a project 1,000 of convection furnaces. Everything that I've told you about is about the sustainable development. These are the things that allow us to set up a certain ecosystem of development for the development of business, the ecosystem for healthy development and for the development of communities. And it's important for us that the school nutrition reform has given an impetus for the development of health of our nation. I weighed 30 kilograms more 20 years ago. For me, this reform was a very important thing, but it was a personal journey for me, because I don't want either my kids or other children studying at Ukrainian school would ever face a problem of obesity or infection diseases. So these problems we face when we're adults, but we have to think ahead, and so we have to give our children a healthy nutrition. I thank you very much. I would like to invite all of you to our culinary show, which is still ongoing outside, and it's got orange colors around splashed around, and you can smell the food. It's good. You can scan the QR code. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And there's an invitation. I was Oleg Stepanyak, head of the school nutrition reform team in Ukraine. In 15 minutes, we will have an interesting panel on urban planning for sustainable cities in Ukraine. So do join us then. Thanks.